We are gonna get as much life out of these braids as possible. Yes. Hey Bookends! Welcome to this week's 10-minute book review. I'm 10. So this week's book review is going to be on The Institute by Stephen King. And yes, you'll see the 30% off on it because we got it from Barnes & Nobles. And it takes more effort to take the stickers off. Makes the book look ugly. So jumping right on in, we like to start each one of our reviews with a star point, as in out of 10 stars. How many stars did this particular book garner? And also a rating, as in if this was a movie or a TV show, what would it be rated? So as a star point, this book is 8 out of 10 stars. It was really good. And as a rating, I don't know if I said that right. As a star point, it's 8 out of 10 stars. And as a rating, this would be a PG-13. Not really because the content is so heavy or bad, but because the main protagonists in it are mostly children. And so if a child was in a position of watching this, I would not advise them to be anything younger than 13. So there are a couple of main players in this book. It starts off with a man by the name of Tim. So he's on this flight, and the flight attendants are like, hey, someone needs to get on this flight and we are overbooked. We'll offer someone such and such amount to get off and a voucher for a free hotel. And the amount just keeps going up, up, up. And Tim is like, well, I ain't got anything special to do, no special place to go. So he's going from Florida to New York. And so he decides, you know what, make it 2,000 and you can have my seat. So they make it 2,000 and they took his seat and they gave him the voucher for the hotel. So he is basically hitchhiking his way across from Florida trying to get to New York. And he's like in his 40s. And this is supposed to be now. Like, it's not supposed to be like the 60s or anything. Like, this is supposed to be 2018, 19, like now. So I'm very surprised that, one, he feels comfortable enough to hitchhike across the South. I mean, he's white, so I don't think, you know, he would be nervous about anything racially happening. But just the idea of axe murderers and things like that. And then two, I'm surprised that people are actually stopping for him. There was even one old lady who stopped. Sounds of the hood. Anyway, so there was actually one old lady who stopped for him, and he helped her unload some library books. He ends up getting jobs on his way to New York. He works for about 2 weeks, about a month each. Things like that, just to add on money to what he already has. He finally stops in this town where there is a need for a night knocker. Now, I wasn't too sure what a night knocker was, and I Googled it, and Google didn't really know what it was either. So the gist that I got from this book is that a night knocker is like a security guard, but the security guard for the entire town. Why is it I become popular when I start doing reviews? Hold on really quick. So yeah, a night knocker is basically a security guard for the entire town. I turned it off and it's still moving. So yeah, they don't get a gun. They work for the police, and basically what they do is they walk around checking doors in the business area. Like, they go around checking to make sure that the doors are locked, or knocking on each door to make sure everyone in there is okay. And if everything's okay, if there is anyone in there, they wave at him. If there isn't anybody in there, you know, he just keeps walking, but he makes sure that no one's there. And so he gets this job doing that. It doesn't really pay much. He doesn't really need much. And he also gets a job at a factory as well. So he's basically just living his drifter life. Fun fact, he used to be a police officer, and he lost his job not because he shot somebody, but because he shot off his gun, and apparently it gave somebody some sort of anxiety. something like that. There were these kids in the mall, and one of the kids was beating up, like stomping, like Tim stomp. Well, I don't know if you would know. Okay, so if someone wears Timberlands and they're stomping someone out, it means like they really want to hurt them. It doesn't say that they were wearing Timberlands, but it was like they were Tim stomping this boy like out, and the boy who was doing it had a gun in his hand. Now later on, it turns out that it was a toy gun, but the officer didn't know that at the time. He just saw boy A beating the crap out of boy B, and so he tells the boy to put the gun down. Boy doesn't do it. He shoots his gun off to get the boy's attention. Nobody gets hurt. But it's like, oh, mental anguish, mental anguish. No one's looking at, hey, this little brat was beating the crap out of some other kid. No, no one looks at that. And so he was given the choice to either resign or get fired, so he chose to resign. So now he's working for the police in this little humbug of a town, night knocking on doors. That's Tim. Now we go to Luke. Luke is a little boy. He's well, I don't want to say little. He's like 12. And he is a genius. 10 or 12. Yeah, 10 or 12. And he's a genius. He goes to a school for gifted and talented children. And what ends up happening is the school tells his parents, like, listen, bruh is too smart for us. Like, we're here for the smart kids, and he is too smart for us. Like, he has gone to the point of where we can help him and has passed it. Like, he passed that point 10 miles ago. So now he wants to go to college. And his parents are like, okay, well, that's all good and well, but we don't have college money. Like, we're not rich. Like, their son was at the school off of a grant, not because they had the money to be able to pay for it. And so the school's like, no, we'll work it out. We'll work it out. Luke is like an average kid. Like, he's incredibly smart, but he also like likes to skateboard. He loves pizza. He loves playing with his friends. He even watches porn from now and again. Even though that's not shown in the book, it's mentioned. So he's a pretty average 12-year-old American kid. What's not average about him, aside from being a genius, is that when he gets upset, things move. He can move things with his mind. Not on purpose, not consciously, but he can. One night, these people come into his home. Now, this isn't a spoiler, because if you read the jacket, you'd see this too. But one night, people come into his home, murder his parents, and kidnap him. And he's brought to this place called the Institute. There he meets a little girl around his age. Ah, the light. The light. Okay, that's better. So there he meets a little girl by the name of Kalisha. And Kalisha is African American, but thank God she has no black accent. So I was really happy about that. They didn't make her be the only one saying, yo, 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 what's up? All that kind of craziness. But she is wise beyond her years. She's been in the Institute for about a month before Luke gets there. And she is a TP, a telepath. And that's how they label people, either TP or TK. So he's a telekinetic, and she is a telepath. And he has a little bit of a crush on her, not because I think that he's actually in love with her in any way, but because she's a girl, or at least in the beginning. It's not because he's in love with her in any way. As the book goes on, I think he actually starts gaining a real connection to her. There's another girl they end up having a crush on too, but it's only a superficial one, not an actual, like, I like you, I love you, or I like you kind of thing. So basically at this institute, they let the kids have free reign to an extent. Like, they can pick out whatever food they want to eat. They can win tokens to use the vending machines, which provide not just candy and snacks, but also cigarettes and drinks, like adult drinks. And they can go out into the playground to play as much as they like. But there's a dark side to it as well. Tests are done on them daily, and they're always asked, are you seeing spots? It has a reason. They have a reason why they're asking that. But tests are done on them daily. Invasive tests are done on them daily. And Luke just wants to go home. All the kids want to go home, but he seriously just really wants to go home. And he would like to think that his parents are alive, but he's kind of piecing together that they're probably not alive. Poor Luke. There was a part of the book that made me very uncomfortable and very sad for Luke. They gave him a rectal temper test. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. But basically, they stuck a thermometer up his behind without his consent. And after he got back to his room, he took a shower and he would start crying in the shower because he felt so humiliated and so violated. And that hurt me because I'm thinking about this little kid who's been taken away from his parents, whose parents have been murdered. He's at this place that he can't escape, does not want to be there. People are hurting him and he has no recourse. He has to deal with it. There's a point where they want to do something to him and he says no, and this guy just keeps slapping him in the face really, really hard until he starts crying. It's horrible. This isn't really a horror book. I think it would be more horror if I was a child, but it's more so this is horrible happening to these kids. Luke is very smart, and so because of that, he starts to figure out a way to escape. Kalisha's like, dude, you need to figure this out. Something else about the book. So when the kids are kidnapped, when they wake up in a room that looks exactly like their room at home, except there's no windows. And that's kind of weird. Like, they wake up like, oh, this is my room. But wait, no, it isn't exactly like my room. Like, certain things are off. He had a poster on his wall that he had torn, like the bottom corner, by accident. And when he looked at the poster, he saw, oh, there's no tear in it. So that kind of made him aware, like, this isn't my room. So it's kind of weird that the people there would actually go through that kind of a trouble to make the rooms and everything, even clothes, seem similar to what they had at home, and yet treat the children there so miserably. It's like, why are you working so hard to make them feel comfortable only to work equally as hard to make them feel uncomfortable? In the end, you find out who's running the institute and the reason for why they're running the institute. And to me, it doesn't make sense. Because if you have these children who have these special powers, and jointly these children are able to help save the world in one way or another, why not find a better way of taking them, or at least a better way of treating them? Let's start from there. Why not find a better way of treating them? Why allow people to be abusive towards them? That part didn't make sense to me. But his name is not Tom. Tim ends up finding out about what's going on, and his police instincts kick in. And so he goes to help. Once again, this isn't really a horror. It has a happy ending. So I do appreciate that Stephen King wrote a book that has a happy ending to it and it's not really horror. Because I have been wanting to read one of his books, but I don't like horror and I don't like sad endings. And this book is filled with children, and so that would have broke my heart. And so it does kind of have a happy ending. So if you're looking for that, that's good for this. There is a lot of wordiness in it, which isn't bad. You know, I appreciated it. I liked the myriad of different ways he found to say one thing. And the myriad of different words that he used that are perhaps not in common rotation right now. And so I don't know if this was Stephen King doing that or if his editor did that, but some wordsmith got to this book. I don't know if he's the wordsmith or someone else, but some wordsmith got to this book and made it very palatable to someone who likes words. And I like words. So it was a really good read. What brought it down, though, was that the kids curse. Now, it doesn't happen often, but I just didn't like it. I felt as though the cursing was forced, and that didn't make sense to me. First of all, I haven't been 12 in years, but I remember when I was 12, I didn't curse. That's just me. That's the way I was raised. You know, you're a kid, so you don't do that. I'm assuming that kids do curse a lot now, or curse when they're 12 or what have you. But I felt as though the cursing was heavy for their age. So it wasn't a lot of cursing. So it wasn't heavy in the way of a lot of cursing in the book. But the curse words that they were using were heavy. And I felt as though they were gratuitous. But also these kids were older than their years from having to submit to all this stuff happening to them. And the craziest thing about it is nobody wanted to go to this part of the institute called back half, because apparently when you go to back half, you don't come back. And so as you're reading the book, it's like you start to build up this fear of what is back half. Like when I was reading the book, like I got nervous. Like, okay, is it an incinerator? Like, are they burning the kids alive? Like, what's happening? And by the time you find out about what actually is back half, you still don't know why they want these kids. In fact, you don't really find out until why they want these kids until towards the end, and it's like, wait, what? So if you need these kids for this specific purpose, why not just treat them right? The only reason I can think that people are so abusive to these children is because power unchecked is power corrupted. And so maybe the people who were taking care of these kids in this institute were not supposed to treat them in such a harmful way, but because there was no one to say, hey bruh, chill with that, they continued to do it. So I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to just like slap a kid around if you're in a hospital or any other institute or in a school. Like, you're not supposed to just slap kids around. So yeah, all in all though, it was a really good book. I don't want to say too much because a lot of things do feed into spoilers, and did my own sprayed edges. Did a horrible job, but I did it. So yay. It's not how well you do things, people. It's how well you try. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, Bookends. Bye.